This is Scott Richmond.
And Arnie Sherman.
You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. Arnie Sherman, good morning.
Scott, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Couldn't be worse. No, couldn't be better.
You've been traveling, so that's, you're always happy after you travel.
I like traveling, and we have a good show today. I'm excited about it. We have Keli Lake from Keli Green to talk about ethical and, biodegradable and vegan and non-synthetic, products that our company develops, cleaning products. And that led me to share with you an experience I had last week.
What was that?
So my professor friend of mine was getting married, and he asked me to teach his class. And his class was on business ethics. And I had to teach 3 sections, so there were probably 150 students. Okay. And I take that responsibility seriously.
Sure.
And I wanted a plan for it. And I started thinking about business ethics. When I used to teach, I would teach one class in international business and what goes on, bribery, corruption, and all that kind of thing. And then I realized in this Trump era, it's practically impossible to teach business ethics. I mean, what are the standards? I mean, ethics really implies a standard or code that an individual follows and maintains in order to be,
right,
truthful and honest and, straightforward and, a pattern of behavior that's measurable. And I realized in this post-truth fake news era, it's almost impossible to demonstrate or show that kind of standard. And I was drawn to one article as I was doing some research to see if there's anything I could grasp onto that would, be a good anchor to share with people.
Sure.
I was drawn to an article about an interview that David Muir for ABC News did with Donald Trump, and Trump was talking about the millions of voters who were illegal voters in the last election, and that he really won the popular vote. And Muir called him on it and said, you really didn't win the popular vote, and there weren't millions.
Right.
And what Trump said was, startling to me. Of all the things he said, the 4,000 lies or, misstatements.
What did he say?
He said it was okay for him to say that, even if it wasn't based in fact, since millions of people agreed with him anyway. It's almost this thing where it could have happened,
right? And
if it did happen, then I'm right. And millions of people think it happened, so it's okay for me to say it. It's beyond the pale of what anybody would consider an ethical kind of behavior. And for whatever reason, the country now, because of daily bombarding of tweets, has been desensitized to all of that. I mean, in the last few weeks, he said NAFTA cost America millions of jobs. Untrue. Completely untrue. You look at any independent, you look at PolitiFact, you look at even Fox News. It's not true millions of jobs were lost. But the president goes on and says that. And then people in his administration sometimes agree with him, sometimes they dispel it. But, the president of the United States is the leader of the country. And usually you look to the president to have some level of veracity in what he says. He said, 96% of Google News is fake news provided by, elite left-wing media. Not true.
Right.
He says U.S. Steel is going to build 6 new plants as a result of his tax bill. Not true. So it was really interesting to, kind of look at some of the business things. Just this, past week when we're having all these issues with Saudi Arabia, there were 2 or 3 things that popped up about that.
Yeah.
One of the things that he said on record, on tape, I listened to it, so it's not third hand. He said, the Saudis buy $40-50 million condos from me. I have to be nice to them.
Right.
I mean, that in and of itself is probably impeachable kind of thing for a president to say, they're buying my condos, so I got to be nice to them.
Right.
It's really beyond amazing. He said, well, and they're buying $110 million. Saudis are buying $110 million worth of military equipment and arms for us, so we're not going to lose that. They're not buying it.
Right.
They signed a letter of intent years ago under the Obama administration, and they've never honored any of that. So it was very difficult for me to to teach a class and talk about what's ethical, what's unethical, how do you behave, how do you handle yourself when the national and in some cases international role models use, facts so frivolously.
Sure.
But today, as a leader, we have somebody who runs their business in an ethical, responsible way by anybody's standards. And we're going to talk to Keli Lake about how she created this business. Irrefutable.
Right. Let's say irrefutable.
Irrefutably, she runs her business in a way that many businesses ought to, and she should be proud of, and I'm sure she is. So I'm looking forward to the conversation with her.
And she's got a big Kickstarter campaign we'll talk about.
Yeah,
so she's got a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, and it's I'm looking forward to hearing about it all.
Me too. Back after this with Keli Lake of Kelly Green. Oh, yeah, turn off your phones. Okay, we are back. We have a gaggle here in the What Do You Know studios. Keli Lake and Blake Nicolazzo, returning guest, probably one of our most frequent returning guests.
We love having Blake here.
We sure do. I love her to death. Working with Keli. So, hey, Keli, how goes it?
It's going well.
So tell me about being a mom entrepreneur. Instead of an entrepreneur, a momtrepreneur.
Well, I learned everything from my kids. They taught me that I needed to make soap. I was home. I needed to make money. And
how old are these kids that taught you to do this?
Now they're 13, 9, and 2.
When did they first start teaching you that it was time to make some money?
Time to make money? Right the day he was born.
But why soap? Why cleaning products? Tell me. Tell us.
Yeah, I was cloth diapering. I was just immersed in the whole momming green thing. And he just kept getting a rash. Kept getting a rash that wouldn't go away. So I didn't really know what it was, but I did start with laundry soap, and I bought super expensive soap, and I tried every different brand, and he still would get the rash occasionally. And then when he was 2, he started brushing his teeth, and he got the same rash around his mouth. So that's how I realized what the ingredient was.
And what is the ingredient?
Sodium lauryl sulfate.
And it's used in lots of products, right?
I like to say it is the high fructose corn syrup of the cosmetic and beauty industry.
And do other people suffer what Tucker suffers? Is he an anomaly, or is there a large cadre of people that have this reaction to that chemical?
Large cadre.
The word cadre, by the way, is awesome that we're using that.
Yeah, we have a highbrow audience occasionally on Sunday morning. Yeah. So how did you do the research to develop what you developed so you wouldn't have those kind of reactions?
Well, I started with the old school, like my grandmother's recipe, like the Fels naphtha bar and the borax and the washing soda. And I messed with that for a long time. And it just makes a big bucket of glob that doesn't work very well.
Borax, I haven't heard that in a long time.
It's like Little Rascals.
Yeah, totally.
What TV show had 30 Mule Team Borax or something? There was one of the old Rawhide or some old show used borax. That was the last time I ever heard that word.
Yeah.
So your grandmother must have been from that era.
Totally.
But wait a second. So did you have a prior, knowledge and experience working with cleaning products and or cosmetics? Like, how did this all start?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I'm a lit major. I read books and play sports. I'm a jock who reads. No, I wanted to help my son. So I started messing around with it. And then as the soap developed and some of my friends were asking for it, I got on websites like chemistry.com and I talked to scientists, and I had my Walter White mask on, and I'd be in the kitchen at all hours of the night. And it took me a few years, but I've got a recipe pretty dialed.
And
wow,
you have a husband. Mm-hmm. And is he supportive of this? Is he involved in this business? Is he a cheer, leader for it?
He's a cheerleader. He's involved in that. He's kind of bankrolled it. He works out of town. He's gone almost 9 months of the year. So
what does he do for a living, if you don't mind us asking?
He's a rope access technician. He's a professional knot tire.
Wow.
real Boy Scout, that one.
Wait, what? What is that?
They do construction from ropes instead of
Okay.
scaffolding. So he's
So
on,
like rock climbing led to a profession.
Yeah.
I thought you were
Got
telling me
it.
he was a baseball scout. That's what I was.
No.
That's cool.
He's a skier. He doesn't watch sports. I'm
Are you from here? Or are you from
Seattle?
You're from Seattle. That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But you're from Seattle, but I have to tell our audience who can't see Kelly that she's wearing a Dodger hat.
This hat is a funny story, but there's a boxer who worked with my husband.
Oh, I know.
always wear hats.
Yeah.
And he just gave him a hat. Weird.
Just any hat.
Any hat, and I just love the fit, and it's LA, and I love LA. I'm like an anomaly in that way too.
But when did you come to Missoula?
We were in Eureka for 10 years, Eureka, Montana. And we're going to raise the kids up there in the middle of nowhere. And we came here 4 years ago.
How did you get to Eureka?
We went to a family reunion and always wanted to fish the Kootenai. And
Oh,
we
wow.
drove up and had breakfast at Jack's and thought, yeah, we're out of Seattle because Tucker was a year. We were spending all our time in the car and traffic and super expensive. And we were just,
Before Tucker, were you working?
yeah, I taught high school.
In Seattle?
Yep, Mount Si, Snoqualmie.
Okay. Oh, I love snow. That's on the way.
Yeah.
So you come up with this product, you do the research, you do your homework, you come up with something you think's pretty good after all trial and error and being up late at night. But you've never run a business. So how did you figure out how to launch this thing? And, now you're in, over 30 grocery stores and other retail outlets in Montana and growing from there. We'll talk about that in a minute. But how did you launch into business?
Brute force, ignorance, and desperation.
Well, that's a toxic combination usually.
Well, my question is, having created the product for Tucker, what made you decide to do it for other people? Like, what was the moment?
It was sort of a time when everybody was kind of becoming aware of a lot of like environmental issues with their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have environmental illness, non-specific illnesses, and my friends had kids with autism and allergies, and I recommended the soap and they tried it and they loved it, and that's just sort of how it came to, then literally one weekend my husband lost his job. I had been turned down for unemployment from the Forest Service, and I borrowed $20 and loaded the soap up in the back of my car and went to Whitefish.
Wow.
That's how I sold it, the first 20 gallons.
So you had basically you had like a tank, if you will, or a holding tank, and you just used to distribute it to people. They gave you a plastic container?
Nope. The refill thing is fairly new.
Oh, so
Yeah.
what were you doing in Whitefish?
I went down to 3rd Street Market because they were an independent health store.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of looked at what they had on the shelf, and I told them how my product was different, and it was like a label that I'd printed off the computer at home, and I had 1 gallon jugs that I still use, and they took them.
Really? And are there any regulations like federal, state guidelines that you have to follow to distribute something commercially?
Not there are and there aren't. Like for certain stores, the Good Food Store, Natural Grocers, they have a very strict policy on what they'll take, and it has to be tested and approved and labeled. Before 2015, no, you did not need to label what was in it.
Amazing, right? Home remedy.
And
And when did you start this?
2010.
By the way, from all your research that Phil Knight of Nike started the same way you did.
Mm-hmm.
He loaded shoes that he bought from Asia in the back of his car and took around and started selling them to stores. So you're on your way.
Right.
So when you went to Whitefish, they said, yeah, we'll take it in. And that was a tipping point for you. And then what happened after that?
I went to like every store between here
and Whitefish?
Between there, and I went to Sandpoint and Spokane. I had a meeting within 6 months, I had a meeting with UNFI, which is the largest natural products distributor in the world. And
what'd they say to you?
They actually were going to take the product, and they gave me 6 months to get a facility and
capacity to manufacture.
Yeah. And they were going to do the corridor from Vancouver BC down to San Diego, the I-5 corridor. And yeah, I was pregnant at the time. I ended up losing that baby. I just, like, everything fell apart, and I just put it on hold.
Wow. And have you gone back to them at all? Or?
I'm just in conversations with them now. I've changed my model so much, and they have changed a lot. So it looks different. But I think the legitimacy of being a business this long and the relabeling and the restructuring.
Probably a good thing.
So how did you even know how to develop a model? And then now you're changing that model.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did you have a business mentor? Did you have a business guru that helped you? Or was this all Google and?
Yeah, it's all Google. And just like literally,
DIY.
I've learned through the, like you run into people and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't how we do things. And I'm like, oh, well, boy, I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I figured everything out that way, because from making it to marketing it to distributing it, you just learn every aspect. So now as I'm growing, I can cut like certain things out.
Yeah.
Brokerage fees are huge, and they bury people in the beginning.
Right.
And I don't need a broker, because no one's
Middleman.
brokered the products like I do.
Right. One of the interesting things that she just alluded to, we've had other guests who have done the same thing, from Tom Snyder at 5 on Black to Nick Chakota,
Right.
who went into new businesses. Google has become such a powerful tool for people to learn about things like starting a business.
Yeah, Vim and Vigor.
20 years ago, you had to go to a library and sit around a library all day and look at magazines and journals and articles, and it was hit or miss. And now it's on your phone. It's on your phone. It's just incredible how that tool has really enabled people like Keli to create a business.
It really helped with my son, like figuring out.
Did it?
Yeah, it helped me figure out what was the ingredient, what's in everything.
Right.
It's like,
you were sleuthing.
Mm-hmm.
Look, our guest is Keli Lake, head of, owner of, developer of Keli Green. Blake Nicolazzo's with her. When did you meet Blake Nicolazzo?
Blake 2 years ago, when I needed to do a rebrand. It was kind of when it's been a little longer than that now, but when I moved back to Missoula, I just I knew it was like, I'm going to expand this business now. I've had all this time to sort of develop. I've stayed with maybe 20 stores for several years, and I was ready to develop it. And I knew I needed a more sophisticated label. And a friend of ours got us together, and we just did a rebrand.
You have a great website, by the way. I like what it says. It's not just the look and the design of your logo, but what it says is very compelling. Mm-hmm. It captures you.
Blake's a huge part of that. She's
good job, Blake.
Blake, what attracted you to the business? What attracted you to Keli in the business? Because you don't have a ton of time on your hands. When you put your mind to something, you kind of go all in.
Yeah, still here, still all in. Meeting Keli, I met Keli and Robbie the same day, and it was just kind of love at first sight. You meet people and you hear their story, and I was compelled. I just thought, hey, these are good people. They fit into the profile for what, for who Bonfire wants to work with and help and develop. And, so yeah, we did the rebrand. It was hugely successful. Sales really skyrocketed, and now we're still sitting here together. It's an honor.
And Bonfire is Blake's marketing company.
Right, it is, but she's very choosy as to who you choose to work with. This is not like it's, you hang a shingle and like, a gun manufacturer is going to be your next client. Or maybe, I don't know. She gave me a look. Maybe
she pulled out a gun on Scott, and but it's a
gun that's
staple
shooting
gun.
Green.
Yeah.
Anyway,
green bullets.
No, but seriously, what's kind of the ethos of your business? Why you choose to work with certain people?
So we want to work with companies that really their core focus is leaving the world better than they found it, and Keli has met that challenge from start to finish. Everything that she's done in our time together, I just look at her and I'm like, dang, I wish more people would care like this. And, it's a tough journey, the one that Keli's going on, and she's taking the long road. And so if I can support that and make that road a little shorter by supporting her and showing up, I'm going to do that, because that's just who I am as a person. And Keli and I have a really incredible relationship.
So let me get back to, so your product line in Keli Green, it's It's all made in Montana, right? Mm-hmm. There's no petroleum in it. It's biodegradable. It's water soluble. It's vegan. There's no synthetic fragrances. So how many products can you develop that fit that profile?
Quite a few. I'm
And
going
what do you got
for
now?
more.
What do
Right
you got
now,
now?
I have 6. And I'm
What are
going-
they?
They're the Keli Green Original laundry soap, the baby formula,
Is that more sensitive for babies?
It is.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the tea tree or the eucalyptus in it.
Right.
The baby formula for laundry detergent?
Laundry
Yes.
soap.
Okay,
Yep.
good. So it's not your feed food.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. And the
Pears.
Funky Fresh Active Wear spray.
That's a spray to make activewear smell better.
Right,
So you
without
don't have to
because
wash it.
yeah,
You don't have to wash it.
every time you wash like ski gloves or
Yes.
yoga, you're breaking it down.
Yeah.
And you don't
Right,
want to.
right,
You just wanna
right.
keep it
I
in your
bought
bag.
an active shirt recently at a store, and it said you can only wash it like 40 times before the stuff on it is gone.
Disintegrates.
Yeah, it disintegrates.
All right, what
Right.
else? So the Funky Fresh.
Stain
baby-
remover?
Stain remover.
How do you
Huh.
get a stain remover that removes stains that doesn't have bad stuff in it?
It's more so it's concentrated.
Very concentrated?
Soap. Yep.
Is that what it is?
Mine is.
Will it remove pet stains?
Yeah, it does. I'm actually developing a line of pet sprays because I get
Smart.
a lot of
Because a
people
lot
want
of
that.
those don't work, and the ones that do are very expensive.
Yeah.
and usually not very good.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
right.
Because most products like that, like they're disguising. They're not actually
Right.
eliminating odor. They're just disguising it with nasty petrochemicals and fragrances.
Bleaching agent?
Yes, oxygen bleach. What else? Wetsuit wash.
That's cool. And now you're developing
hat
more.
wash.
And what?
And a hat wash.
A hat wash.
Spray. Because hats stink. And
Hat
lice.
wash is really, I just noticed I was I looked at some of my hats and they have stains in them. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
afraid to just toss them in the washing machine. No, you don't. I won't have a hat anymore.
Yeah, no, the hat wash is good, and it's also a lice and repellent. It has clove oil in it and some other oil. It's good, like
Do you have shoe spray?
back sweat. No, I'm making a baller spray.
We need that.
Baller.
What baller? So like
Baller.
an athlete's
You
You know
shoe
what you
spray.
need?
Shoes.
You need a travel. So this is what I would get: a travel size spray that would control bed bugs.
Oh.
I've been reading about that a lot. A lot of hotels, a lot of people, because you don't know. It takes a week before they come out, so you don't know. If I had one, I would take it with me and spray the bed before I used it.
Seriously.
Anyway, that's a product suggestion at no extra charge to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
So
that
I
costs
wanna get back to
$2,500 if we want to put your name on it. by
Okay,
the way.
so that gets me to one of the two things I want to know. You have a Kickstarter campaign going on,
I do.
and what's the goal of that, and how long has it been, and what are you going to use the money for, and all that stuff?
Okay, the goal is 35,000.
Right.
It's been going for about 30 some days, 33 days.
Yeah.
The goal is to buy kettles for refill stations so that we quit just the single-use jug recycling. Well, recycling is a bad word because that's not happening. Just
Right.
the constant, buy another jug, throw it away. An average household goes through 12 gallons a year of that. That's a lot of plastic jugs.
Oh yeah.
And how's the campaign going so far?
It's gone. It's pretty slow, but it's picking up. It's picked up the last week.
Have you found that people are kind of not as interested in sustainable, like things like, environmentally friendly things? Like, has there been some dilution of that?
I think that people are they're greenwashed, right? So
That's a good way to put it.
they believe, like, it'll say sustainable or it'll say recyclable, and it's laziness. Like they're not thinking about it. They're just like, oh, I can recycle this, or it's all natural, or it's free and clear.
Or it's free range?
Or organic
Right.
is organic is the most overused word I've ever seen
Yeah,
in
for
the
sure.
stores.
Yeah.
Everyone could claim to be organic. I
Right.
mean, there's very few hoops to jump through to say you're organic. I mean, there are, but there's more and more people saying they're organic. So doesn't that dilute a little bit kind of the, it being a special product?
Yeah, it does, and I think I'm running into that a lot and also the idea that A lot of people say, well, I already buy in bulk, right? I buy in bulk. I go to the good food store and I buy in bulk. Well, the reality of that bulk is the distribution is the same. They show up in the 5-gallon buckets and you're filling whatever, sometimes with a new container, sometimes not. But that bucket in itself is not being recycled. It's not going anywhere.
So how are you going to resolve that problem?
Well, I am, with any distribution that I do, I retain my buckets and I am filling them myself and maintaining them. I have a station up in Whitefish that I've been in refill there for years.
So if you're building a bigger business model, which is what I assume you're doing, you mentioned you were at 20 or 20 plus for a long while, and now you want to grow. Is that sustainable? You or employees going and refilling these if you go to a bigger area?
It's about making the distributors
responsible.
Making them bring it back.
You're bringing a network of distributors is the model that you're headed towards, right?
Yes, that if the distributors aren't willing to, if the stores aren't willing to return their buckets and the distributors aren't willing to pick them up, then I'm not interested in going with them.
Wow. How about is there any development of bladders that are low, plastic use kind of reusable bladders that people could use where it's not even
biodegradable bladders?
Yeah, something where it's just is it just too expensive to produce?
Go ahead.
Well, okay, first let's get the conversation about, quote, biodegradable plastics.
Right.
This is part of greenwashing.
Right.
And, anytime it's this is, again, what Kelly started to say about the conscience thing. You just want your conscience to be clean. It's well, we're having a wedding and all the plastic is biodegradable. And, my response is a fewfold. But the first one is, do you really think that the animal that's choking on that plastic gives a damn if it's biodegradable? I can tell you that they don't.
Right.
And so it's another level of greenwashing. So we're not interested in looking for a, quote, solution that is just another level of greenwashing. It's just that's not happening.
One of the things I did notice, though, you were talking about the diminution or the watering down of all this.
Right.
I've noticed in some of the travels I've been on lately that plastic straws have disappeared in a lot of cities.
Yes.
They have now paper straws or they're not using straws at all. But the plastic straw is on the way out.
Absolutely. I haven't. When's the last time you used a plastic straw? Not in this town.
Well, a lot of people, you and I don't get milkshakes regularly.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
But I've seen them switching to paper.
No, that's a great point.
So if 2 years from now, if this business is going the way you want it to go, what is it going to look like?
What it's going
2 or 3 years.
Right. I hope to be kind of in all the Western states. I would like to be with independent distributors that work well with small business and just kettles everywhere with other products as well. I just want to change the whole distribution game and make people aware of that. Really, it isn't just the product itself; it's the whole system, and that everyone's paying for it. I mean, we're paying so much money for something that has traveled thousands of miles. The ingredients are coming from one country, the plastic's coming from another. It's put together somewhere, and all of those processes are just a huge, Bigfoot.
So not that I'm here to
urban.
give you any advice. I'm just here to hear about your business. But over the years, I've worked with a lot of small businesses that are at the precipice of taking this kind of step. And some have been successful and others haven't been, because the founder who is committed to the product, like you are, there are many people who are founders, are not really, aware of what it takes to run a business that size. You're going to have a manufacturing facility. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to hire people to do quality control. You're going to have to build a big production end along with a sales end. And, the question is, are you up to that challenge? Are you up to that task? Or can you find somebody who's up to that task?
I can find people, and I am up to it. I mean, this has been my baby for several years now, and I have all of the things in place. I have a manufacturer that has a recipe. I have everything. So as things pick up, I can grow to scale.
Do you have to do NDAs and a lot of paperwork for that, for whoever the manufacturer is, so that they don't just take it and go to someone else and slap a name on it and call it Keli Blue?
Yes.
Or something?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I've been down that road.
So
twice.
so you have lawyers and patent people.
I don't have patent. You can't patent a product that's it's like patenting orange juice. Like if everyone can, if everyone has access to to the ingredients,
right?
You can patent processes.
Okay.
I took a Montana company once about 15 years ago to see Walmart. Which
Really?
was a real experience in of itself. It's like trying out for
I've done that.
For a
Bentonville
theatrical show. Everybody's in there
it's awful.
practicing their lines. But anyway, the company was very interested in what they were manufacturing, and they said to them, "Well, we'll start out, and maybe we'll introduce it in Mexico or we need you to be able to make 150,000 of them a month, and you're going to have to provide inventory. But if it doesn't sell, we're not going to eat the inventory.
No, I know.
And the guy wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't do it. He said, "I can't take that risk. I can't gear up. It's going to cost me a lot of money to be able to manufacture 150,000 of them." These were corner tables for computers.
Oh yeah.
And so the question is, you're going to go back to the doors open with that one large company. They may say, "Hey, you need to produce 150,000 units a month, and if it doesn't work in our stores, we're not going to eat it. You're going to have to. Are you willing to engage in that kind of risk taking in gearing up your business?
There is some risk with it, but because I've grown the way that I have and it's been pretty calculated, I can sort of pick and choose regions that I want them to focus, or that if I'm going to be the broker, I can focus on those regions. Like I'm just going to, right now it's Missoula and a little bit of Washington, and I can grow with them. You never have to buy your products back.
Like the I-5 corridor, to your point, like from Vancouver down to San Diego, it's the the Sprouts of the world and the good food stores of the world and the whatever. Yeah, Whole Foods. That's Amazon. But I'm saying they're discreet, right? It's not everybody. So it's controlled, but it's still, to Arnie's point, it's still big volume.
It's still
particularly if you develop
volume.
a line of pet products, you got a whole other retail distribution network for that. Every Petco or or a small pet store in all of those towns.
I am curious of the statistics of those mom and pop retailers who are kind of like the natural health food stores. Are they going by the wayside because of
They are.
Yes.
the good foods and the Whole Foods?
Montana has the most left in the whole Northwest Mountain
region,
Inland Empire. Yeah, they do. And they're falling away because of Whole Foods and Amazon.
And also secession planning. Nobody wants to come in and take them over.
Which is a big theme that you're working on. It's interesting. So are you, when you start to, I guess you don't want to be a mile wide and 2 inches deep. You want to just focus on a few things. And do you have industry statistics that are kind of guiding is there data that's guiding kind of your decisions?
Data and just a lot of my one-on-one relationships with people. It's
just remember, Keli, people spend more money on their pets than they spend on their children.
Oh, I know it. Believe me. I know.
And I'm one of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty much there too now. Wow. So it is just such a it's not the sexiest category either if you're going to go into product creation and manufacturing and marketing. I mean, it's utility.
Totally.
It's a utility. It's not a luxury product, right?
But it does have the advantage that it solves some health-related issues that people are experiencing. And so it has another angle to it that's important.
That's a good point. Does that guide kind of your decisions as well?
Yeah,
obviously
it totally does, and it's also like I've had a couple events at La Petite where one of my kettles is, and I get to talk to people that come in there, and once you have a one-on-one conversation with people, you find out that like it's always one person in the family has an issue with soap, and so as that conversation, evolves, and then they come back to it, then they start talking about the sustainability of buying, that single-use plastic, and then it just sort of all comes together.
So explain to our listeners who are not very visual like I'm not, what a kettle is and how that works. Let's say you're a customer. How does the process work?
Well, right now at LPO, there's a 35-gallon steel kettle, and it has a spigot, and you walk in there and there's directions on it that tell you exactly what to do. If you brought your container, you can turn the spigot on and fill it, or if you forgot, around the corner there's a bin of empties that other people have left there that I've left there.
And you're selling it by weight?
By weight, yeah. This right now at their setup, it's a half gallon or a gallon, and then my other products are there as well. And the Good Food Store, I think, is going to do it just by weight. And Third Street Market does it by weight.
So if somebody buys a gallon of your basic product, your basic laundry detergent, laundry soap, it's not a detergent, excuse me. Your laundry soap. Somebody has a gallon. How long does that last?
Well,
I know. I mean,
yeah. It's,
that's how much you need. Just 2 tablespoons.
Yeah,
in it?
yeah. And if or
for a max load.
For a max load, like if maybe a quarter cup. It
Got
lasts a family of. I mean, we're a family of 5.
How long does a gallon
kids.
last you?
About a month.
That's
3
pretty.
weeks.
That's
to a
pretty
month.
good.
And what does a gallon sell for now?
Well, if you buy it, it depends on where you buy it. But they're usually between $15 and $20.
And what is it? What is one like a thing of Tide cost? $10, $15?
Yeah, well, it's funny because it's all optical illusion. Like when you're buying a Tide at the store, it's
Tide
usually
pod, like for
Are
example.
you going to get into the pod market?
No. I have teenagers, so I'll eat them. They're, a lot of them are like not quite a half gallon, or they're a little bit more than a half gallon, and they're narrow, and they're thinner, and they're shorter, and they fit on the shelves better. And I have to buy mine from a place made in America because I'm not buying trailer loads full. So I have 2 options: the half gallon and the gallon. And I guess per ounce you're.
I always shop that way.
For Tide?
Yeah, for anything. I shop per ounce. Do you do that, Arnie?
Yeah, I try to compare.
I love doing that.
Because it is. You made a very good point. There's a lot of optical illusions in
the numbers
in
don't
the
lie.
retail business.
Yeah, totally.
Particularly
and the stores, the stores are pretty resistant to the kettle idea because their whole goal is to have you, come back from.
They don't want you to
more.
be gone for a month.
No. And so they also want the half gallons. They're like, we can really, shuffle through these half gallons.
Right.
And
consumerism.
right. So that's why I've, looked at breweries. I've looked at some other options. People who are going to be,
the growler of
the growler.
Right. The growler. I love the growler.
Well, it's like what's happened in the propane business. You don't have to own, you don't just throw them away, and you don't know, you just take them back.
Reuse them. You know what we just started to use?
What?
We just started to use that the seltzer, the club soda maker.
Right.
That thing is. I mean, I don't know what those
Cartridges
are doing to the environment, but I'm just happy that I don't have to use plastic.
Well, you're a lot shorter than you used to be, so I don't know what it's doing in your house, but
by the way, it tastes better. The way that seltzer.
Yeah.
What's the name of it? The
I know.
Soda
Soda
Stream.
Stream. Yeah.
It tastes better than what you can buy in the store.
Well, because there's a difference between seltzer and carbonated water.
Oh, well, carbonated water. Okay, you and I know seltzer. It's carbonated water, club soda.
No, I'm saying what they produce is seltzer. It has more bubbles per. It's more carbonated than carbonated water is. Seltzer is not the same as water.
Okay.
It's carbonated water.
I don't. You're right, but have you tasted this water yet?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Well, because it's different.
And our water supply is actually really good. So where we live is a great water supply. So everything's better, I think. Anyway, we're on to a tangent.
No, we're not.
Well, it's related, actually. It's actually related.
It's about the evolution of business. When I was a kid, they used to deliver seltzer to your house.
I know.
The guy would bring Thomas's English muffins, cottage cheese. They would bring a case of seltzer bottles.
Yes.
And you left the empties, and they would replace them. And we've migrated from that But this is sort of a way of getting back to a little bit more
What's
of a,
old is new.
well, a little bit more of a personalized kind of service. You get exactly what you want. Eventually, you'll probably have different size beside a gallon and a half gallon and be able to customize it a little bit more. You certainly don't necessarily need
Right.
a gallon's worth of pet cleaner. You know, if you
Unless
have a
you have big
chihuahua.
animals.
Yeah, if you have a giraffe, you probably do, but not if you have a small animal. But, you know, more personalized service. People are willing to pay more for more personalized products.
Let's do a quick ID. Our guests are Keli Lake and Blake Nicolazzo with Keli Green and Bonfire Branding. Keli Blake.
No, but Blake has something to say.
Keli
here.
Blake.
So, I mean, you know, back to like the, you know, in the old days when
The
you
old
got your
days.
milk and everything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So part of what Kelly's trying to do is instigate this home delivery service. So
Yeah.
part of the Kickstarter, she needs to buy the kettles for the retailers that are interested in going that route. But she is also doing home delivery. I mean, it's been kind of incredible. Just
Well, Amazon's doing home delivery, and Walmart's doing home delivery in certain markets.
no, this
now.
is Kelly driving to your house with a trailer full of refill, and so you'll go online and you'll order. Hey, I need the original formula. I need some wetsuit wash. I need stain remover. And Kelly comes, or you know, hopefully someday someone else
With
will
a
be doing
truck?
this.
Well,
with
she's not driving
Kelly.
to San Diego to do
No,
this.
but this isn't. And here's the other piece. This is about local economy. We're not looking to like take over, you know, dominate a market. We're looking to make the best with what we have. And this is really an option for the consumer to vote with their dollar for the world that they want to see. I don't want to use Tide because I live in Montana and I appreciate the water. You know, Scotty just said how great the water is where he lives. The water is not going to be great if we keep dumping Tide into the water supply. If we, you know, so this is a really impressive way to deal with where you are and what you have. And it's like, what is the world that you want to see? So the cost per ounce, what's the cost per ounce to have clean water?
Right.
You know, it's a big thing. So, but I wanted to mention because the other part of the Kickstarter that's super cool, one is the kettle situation and an honest refill. Two is that people will be able to have the product refilled in the Missoula area. And just like a CSA, if you're more than 20 miles out of town, there'll be drop-off points where you can drop off your empties and pick up refill.
Well, more and more companies are moving to customization. I just saw the ad yesterday on Domino's has 15,000 hot spots now around the country where you can order pizza like if you're at a park, you're at a beach.
And they deliver.
And they deliver right to the spot you're at. They don't have to go to your home.
Get some wetsuit wash.
Right. Wetsuit.
Well,
I'm not. Well, look.
Hey,
Well, you might
Kelly.
be able, Kelly. There may be a model here where you can also deliver other products that you don't even make if they're supportive.
Yes.
For example, there are particularly on the West Coast. I'm thinking about it. All of the people who do pool and hot tub chemical servicing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're going to homes every day. And people paying for that. I mean, I think it's sort of lazy. I have a hot tub. I change my own chemicals. But I know if somebody has just a spa business and people will pay a lot of money to have someone come
So they don't
and
wanna screw
adjust
it
the
up.
chemicals because they don't want to screw it up. So your idea of delivering to people's homes, your products, but you also may be able to deliver a line of other things, other products along with it, and and sort of capitalize on it. Which leads me to this other question, which is online sales. I mean, what is the allure, or is there an allure for you at all of selling through Amazon?
No, I'm not going to sell through Amazon. I've looked into that a lot. I've had many conversations with them. I just partnered with Big Sky Fulfillment, and I was just there today for a while, and they're going to do a subscription offering, and it'll be a recyclable subscription where they can send back their jug if they want, and then it's only one of my products that comes in plastic. People can order, for $39 a month, 3 items from 3 different categories, and it'll just be
That's
a
a
recycling.
big way to do stuff.
So here's another product line for you that you may have not thought about, as we're giving, as we like to give advice.
We always
Love it.
do, though.
We've talked about the pet line. You're talking about being on the West Coast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people have swimming pools and hot tubs. I have a hot tub. I don't like putting the decision between bromide and chlorine and then me sitting in it.
Yeah.
And then, because you don't want to waste 225 gallons of water, putting other chemicals in to adjust it.
To soften it, yeah.
is there a possibility of having Kelly Green pool and spa chemicals that would be,
Especially in Southern
Why not?
California.
I mean, particularly in Southern California,
Yeah,
people would be all over that. I mean, I really don't like jumping in. After about a week, I'm trying to debate whether I should dump all the water, because no matter what I do to balance it, it always kind of looks, you kind of can smell the chemicals coming off and all of that.
I don't worry about it. I just put in the shock and then some other stuff.
Yeah, you don't even know what's in shock.
I don't know. I know it's probably not a good idea. Your skin is one of your biggest receptors of
Yeah.
It is.
bad
It's your
stuff.
biggest organ.
I think
yeah.
you'd have a huge market if you were able to apply what you've learned for soaps
point.
into
Yep,
spas.
that's what
And
we're trying to do, solve problems.
probably wouldn't work as much in Minnesota where there's no one has a pool, but in California and the West
Maybe
Coast.
have you thought about Schwann's? Maybe they'll do. Yeah. You guys
They
talked about
could.
it? Just love the name of the
No,
company.
I
anyway,
actually, Schwann's.
Yeah.
I'm talking with Smith Brothers out of Washington.
Oh.
And they do
Cough drops?
dairy.
Oh,
Yeah, they do dairy delivery, home delivery.
huge. And in markets like that, and more, and markets like Seattle or Portland or even
They're-
Missoula,
Right. Well,
they're up for that.
They are.
my next category for you, as we're doing, is industrial disinfectants.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the companies don't want to, particularly environmentally sensitive companies, don't want their floors cleaned with
Yes.
harsh chemicals where that people. Yes.
Well, and I can tell you what's going to happen. It's going to be the same that happened with the cigarette business. A lot of companies that have those harsh chemicals and that people are having to clean with those chemicals are having health issues because of those chemicals. And so it's just a matter of time before they're not allowed to use them any
Kelly, what do you
longer.
do with your downtime? I mean, I'm exhausted
Yes,
listening.
children.
I really don't have any. I'm just
What do you
like-
play sports?
Oh,
You
yeah.
say-
Yep.
What do you do?
I go to the gym. I do a lot of HIIT workouts because I have ADD. I'm just off the charts hyper. And so I run sprints
Okay.
like a, Australian shepherd.
You're just running?
Yeah.
Can I see you running down the Bitterroot Trail?
No.
There is a gal that does that in our
And what
neighborhood.
sports? And what sports do you follow when you get a chance to follow them?
I follow the NFL
Oh.
religiously.
And you're a Seahawks fan?
I follow players and coaches.
Oh, are you a fantasy sports player?
Well, I have fantasies about sports players.
That's the real fantasy sports.
So do we all.
Colin Kaepernick?
No, I had to back off of that. It really was consuming. I don't have cable anymore just because my husband's not home and it was consuming Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, they're making sure now that it
I love
can't
the
go more
NFL.
than 2.5 days during the season without NFL, right?
Right.
Smart. They own it.
Yeah.
And then NBA's coming.
So
right
I got
around
to
the
ask
corner.
you this. You brought this up. I can't ignore it, right? So can you give me one or two of the athletes that you were consumed by?
Yes. Well, I'm good. Bill Belichick is he's my hero. I
Yeah.
think I'm sorry. I know.
What do you?
I-
Why?
I
He's
love,
cheating is
I
something
love
you
to hate
admire?
him. Well, I'll tell you why. She doesn't even have to answer. I can tell you why. Because he takes a bunch of, beside Tom Brady, he takes a bunch of players that you don't even know who their names are and makes teams that beat everybody.
That's right.
Has a formula.
He hasn't had a.
Oh,
a-
that's consistent with you.
He doesn't have an A.J. Green or anybody like that, a
No.
wide receiver. He doesn't have a
His
running
last
back.
decent wide receiver was Randy Moss.
Yeah. And he was at the end of his career.
There's
Right.
a team that he can't beat. You know what team that is?
Did he-
New York Giants.
Oh, well, give me a break.
When the when the chips are down,
Well, it couldn't be the Eagles, but that was a trick play.
that too.
But no, I agree with her on Bill Belichick. As much as I don't like New England, I think he's the most brilliant coach ever because
Yeah.
he takes spare parts and makes a Formula One racer.
He's the
out
MacGyver of the
them.
NFL. Okay,
Yeah.
what else?
Name their running
else?
back. Name a running back. I mean, they haven't even had.
I like Julian Edelman.
He's not a running back.
He's not
I know
running.
he's
He was a
receiver.
quarterback.
He's a slot receiver.
He was a
I like him.
quarterback
He's
before
a
he
member
was a
of,
receiver.
member of my tribe.
They
Anyway.
take guys like him and Danny Amendola when he was there. We're not wide receivers and made him into wide receivers. But anyway,
Okay.
and that was
follow,
who else?
follow Marshawn.
Oh, really?
Marshawn Lynch,
Did you
yes.
see him with Bear Grylls?
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing. He is amazing.
He is amazing. She has
Anybody
a big
else
smile on her
besides
face,
those two
folks.
that you-
Yeah.
Well, Marshawn is the beast. I mean, beast
Beast
mode.
mode. He's likable. I was at the game where he calls the
You like
other
Landon
side.
Collins?
Yeah.
You like Landon Collins? He's a giant now.
No, you know.
He has been for a while. Okay, go on.
Yeah.
Who else?
Sherman.
Richard Sherman.
I
yes.
like Richard Sherman too. Well,
He's
because I
smart.
respect him.
Yeah, he's.
It's hard. It's
respectable.
hard when they broke that team up, though. They had all these great personalities. And,
Well, I know. Yeah, the Legion of Boom is dead.
Yeah, it's gone.
All right, so you like the NFL, but now you've weaned yourself off the NFL by
Mm-hmm.
removing your cable subscription. What
Now
are
I
your
now I just have the phone and the Hulu going.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
And my friends texting me and my dad. The Huskies too. I watch. I'm
Do you?
college.
Right.
Yeah.
My son just moved to Seattle, by the way.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Hopefully he'll get to a Seahawks game or he can't Mariners. Anyway,
There's a lot of interesting stories. I'm sure you're still following this year, like Drew Brees, for example.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. A guy was 5'10". I just heard somebody said,
Yeah, he's smart.
I'm 6 feet. I played in the NFL. I know I'm 6 feet. He's 2 inches shorter than
Yeah.
me. And he just broke the
2
all-time.
records.
I mean, he's 39 years old.
amazing.
I mean, 72,000 yards passing.
wasn't there a rumor that Colin Kaepernick might become a New York Giant?
Yeah, well, that's not.
That would be incredible. Anyway,
Anyway,
our
back-
guest is Kelly Lake, Blake Nicolazzo, Kelly Green. Back after this with final words on Kelly Green and their Kickstarter campaign. And we're back.
So, Blake, give us the whole picture on the Kickstarter campaign, because our listeners want to help Kelly out. So, what do we have to do? What's it going to go for? Tell me all about it.
Okay. I do hope that the listeners and the general public do want to help, because this is such an incredible opportunity to vote with the dollar. You know, it's just showing up to support a business that is really, I mean, Kelly's putting her neck out here. It's like Kickstarter's all or nothing, which most of us know that. And you have a finite amount of time to raise the money. If you don't raise the money, all the money goes back. So, you know, the support that Kelly has gotten over the years has been pretty momentous. And now, you know, here's this chance. And so it's kind of time for people to go to Kickstarter.
And how do they go to Kickstarter?
So if you go to kellygreen.com, there's a link. It says Refill Revolution on the homepage. Oh, yes. Thank you. Kelly, KELIGREEN.com. A lot of people spell it with 2 L's, but it's one, KELI. Right from the homepage, you can hit Refill Revolution, and that'll take you to the Kickstarter, more information on the Kickstarter. So, you know, it's not even about right now, like, how much people give. We don't care if you give $5. It's just showing up. It's just saying, hey, you're doing something cool, and we appreciate that you care. So, yeah, kellygreen.com, Refill Revolution, get you to the Kickstarter page, and off we go.
Good. Scott and I are in, right? We'll contribute.
Of course we will.
Good. So that's 2 more people. So my pleasure to help you out.
It's a lot of work to do to get to come here and do a radio show, but still, we are here.
Hey, we'll
We are-
2 more funders, 2 more backers. That's a big deal. It really is. Every
Arnie
single
and I-
backer that comes in is a big deal.
We love speaking with you. We love having this conversation. You know what's nice about it is that you're not coming in with a bunch of hyperbole and statistics that we're not going to understand anyway. You're just talking about you had a need, you had a problem, you solved it, right? And now you want to solve a lot of people's problems. And we love that. We love stuff like that's a great story for us,
Right.
right? It's a great story for Missoula.
Doing well by doing good is always the best way.
Anyway, we want to thank you guys for coming up. Arnie, I'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you next week.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to What Do You Know?
I can't wait for the next show, Scott.
I'm excited too, Arnie. If you'd like to suggest a guest, send me an email at scottrichmond@townsquaremedia.com. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening to Newstalk KGVO,